Hey everybody, I'm just getting ready here. One more minute to go. Jambo, fellow adventurers, and welcome back. This is Mike Dooley, and we are on session 2 of our masterclass, where we are reviewing the entirety, all 9 chapters of Life on Earth, understanding who we are, how we got here, and what may lie ahead. A couple of points of protocol I'd like to share with you. First and foremost, huge thank you for the enthusiasm and the love that was shared in the comments yesterday on the Facebook page, Life on Earth. If you're not a member of that Facebook page, it's private, so all you got to do is click and ask, and you will be admitted within 24 hours. But I have to say, and perhaps you could suspect, that when you're a writer and or a speaker and or looking into a webcam and no one's around, that you often feel kind of alone. Just like writing a book, you feel alone for months on end. Not that I don't interact and do some travel, but when I read some of the comments and the appreciation on the Facebook page last night, I mean, it put everything into context, and I felt so grateful to all of you for your enthusiasm, for your open heart, for your open mind, for getting the book, and for participating and for being here. I know that you could be somewhere else right now, but you are watching this live presentation, or perhaps you're watching the recording. I equally feel gratitude to you. As I said yesterday, these prophets, not that I could say I'm a prophet, but teachers have a need to have an audience, as an audience has a need to have a teacher. Not that I'm not both at times in my life, the student and the teacher, but you help me do what I do, and I couldn't do it without you, and it's a point that's taken to heart. So thank you so much for all of that. I also wanted to reiterate a couple of points of protocol, and that is questions. While we did take some based on our suggestion on the meme on the Facebook pages today by email, and I'll be sharing and answering some of those questions randomly today. From this point forward, the majority, if not the entirety of the questions I answer, your questions pertaining to life on Earth, will be from the little dialogue box that's now in front of you if you're watching live, where you can type to me what your questions are. I will not be reading them during the 20 to 30 minute presentation, but I will at the end of the 20 to 30 minute presentation. So I know there's a button there to raise your hand, and I know there's a way for you to give shout outs, and I encourage you to keep the energy flowing while I'm speaking amongst one another, saying hi, or that needs help, or he needs clarification there, or that hit the note for me. I gathered from those who participated and saw that unfurling that it was very much appreciated and a lot of fun. But the point is, I can't see that while I'm presenting to you, so don't try to get my attention that way. It'll be futile. I will read the Q&A panel only in about 20 to 30 minutes once I get through chapter 2 of our masterclass, life on Earth. Chapter 2, of course, is the evolution of consciousness. I can't believe somebody else didn't think of that phrase before, to my knowledge, because it just lights me up. And it speaks to consciousness and the fact that it does evolve from within the jungles of time and space. And that statement alone tells us that we are more than our physical apparatus, our physical instrument. And yes, of course, along with the deductions that we made yesterday in chapter 1 of the Masterclass, we don't need our physical bodies to exist, to flourish, to adventure. Those that have passed on are doing exactly that right now in realms beyond time and space. And this is important to get, because if you are of the persuasion that, life only happens once, and when the lights go out, the lights go out, or when the lights go out, it's judgment time, you are putting undue pressure upon yourself for getting every single thing right. Whereas if you get that you are eternal and you can therefore live an infinite number of lifetimes, then suddenly, not to take away any of the importance or wonder of a single lifetime, it becomes less burdensome as to what you must do this lifetime. This is just like a nighttime dream. You're going to wake up from this dream in the palm of God's hand, and you're going to laugh with your friends. I can't believe I thought I was Mike Dooley. I can't believe I thought this. I took everything so seriously. And once the spell wears off, or you're fully grounded in a much greater reality with those dear friends of yours, you're all going to have the same idea. You're all going to be like, let's go back. Let's go back and be best friends, okay? And we'll remind each other of the truth, and we'll read Hay House books, and we'll go to seminars, and we'll realize it's all for the love of the game. It's all for our joy and our happiness. It's all, and we'll be talking about this in this session, for the adventure of living in the jungles of time and space, because you could. It was an option of an infinite number of options. And so that's what's got us here right now. And with this kind of perspective, understanding that consciousness isn't a single thing, and now you've got this consciousness for this lifetime, good luck, bucko. It's like, this is just a tiny piece of a magnificent puzzle. So tiny, like a nighttime dream is to your entire life. And I think that doesn't even quite do justice as to the enormity of the jungles of reality that I cannot get my head around, as I talked about yesterday, other than to get my groove on in this lifetime. So I want to preface this chapter of the Masterclass because, I told you yesterday, this is a book and a masterclass about living a rocking, joyful life. And that begins with understanding the truth about the nature of reality. And there's all kinds of tangents to these truths, some of which are irrelevant to your joy and happiness, but some of them will answer some of the questions that have vexed you and perturbed you, disturbed you up until this point in your life. And one of those nuances is that because we are evolving at a soul level, if you will, our consciousness is evolving. It was before we got here, it is while we're here, and it will continue once we move on. Then all of a sudden you have a better perspective from which to have traction in life. So let's talk about some nuances here that I think you'll find pretty interesting. You have all, no doubt, heard the expression that such and such person is an old soul. They're very kind, they're very even-keeled, they're not out to set the world on fire, nor are they drowning in a pity party. They're just kind of cool. And perhaps some of you have also heard the expression that person is a baby soul, a young soul, typically tantamount to low emotional IQ. They're here and they might be intellectually brilliant, but emotionally they're having a hard time with values, with understanding what's ideal and what's not ideal, what serves them, what doesn't serve them. They may be of the selfish ilk in the primitive definition of selfishness. We'll talk about the advanced definition either today or in the future part of this course, but they're in the primitive version of selfishness because they're so new to the jungles of time and space. They're a baby soul or a young soul, and they foolishly think that if they get ahead if they make progress in life at the expense of someone else, they take and if no one knows, like a child thinks, if no one sees me do it, did I really do it? It's just the same as if I didn't do it. So if I can get away with stuff, I'm going to get further advanced in my life. What they fail to know, lacking emotional intelligence, is that by hurting those around them, complete strangers or loved ones, through a lie, through deception, all truth comes full circle. And like it or not, sorry to be the messenger here, all lies are unveiled. Everyone ultimately, if not during this lifetime, at the other side, sees all lies and sees all truths. And everyone's got a lot of skeletons. But if the person who thinks and actually, to the physical senses, gets away with bad stuff, hurtful stuff, no need for quotations, total crap behavior, it's going to bite them in the butt, because that person that they just burned the bridges towards, or that other person that they violated, or that bank that they robbed, or whatever, those people are not going to forget. Those people have thoughts. Those thoughts have energies. Those energies have a manifesting power. And so if the perpetrator feels the slightest bit of guilt, and some don't, but if they do, like, oh, this is going to come back at me, sure enough, it will come back at them. It might have to be the next lifetime, not through karma, but because they want to understand what they've done to other people. It's going to come back to them. So if you've got a cheating partner, or a parent that neglects children, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they've got the big paycheck and they say, hey, I sacrificed for you, you should let it roll off your back like water off of a duck. They're not going to let that water roll off of their back. And it's going to come back like a boomerang. One way or another, it's going to come back like a boomerang. And so if the primitively selfish person thought that they were advancing their cause towards their own joy at the expense of others, they are in for a rude awakening when they realize that by violating and soiling the lives of others, they've actually tainted their own. And so it is not true selfishness, this primitive selfishness. It is spiritual, if I may say, stupidity, to violate others thinking you're going to get ahead. Because this is not selfishness. True selfishness, advanced selfishness, is where you take into account everyone else in your life, strangers included. Okay, so there I've covered advanced selfishness, and I totally advocate selfishness with a spiritual mindset, because then you have placed your heart in the balance. Your desires are important, while considering, not to the exclusion of your own, considering other people's desires. This is a perfect example of what an old soul has learned the hard way. And so an old soul is the least likely candidate to rob a bank or perpetrate some horrible abusive violation onto others. So the purpose of all of this is going to your traction today, no matter where you are. But the ground rules are the ground rules. They're absolute. And once we've got them under our belt, we can blast forward. The notion comes to mind, the old adage that was popularized, probably not originated, in the Spider-Man film, a comic book. With great power comes great responsibility. But the irony here is, rarely do you ever get to a place of great power, not the kind of power you and I aspire to, where we can live rocking, abundant, joyful lives in love and prosperity. You don't even get to great power until first you accept great responsibility. In other words, responsibility for yourself. And as we were talking about last night, we're all co-creators of the weather and plate tectonics and the planet at large, even though the planet has its own consciousness. We are the sole creators of our joy. And we can get our joy on faster if we get that and stop giving our power away, thinking, well, it's your fault, and it's your fault, and it's your fault. Even though you may have earned the right to be angry at other people who truly violated you, it's getting you nowhere to give your power away, saying it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. Because if you believe other people can violate you and you had nothing to do with it, then that means you live in a world where that happens. That's what your belief is. And if that's what your belief is, it's going to happen again. And so if you want to avoid it from ever happening again by taking full responsibility now, and the trick is you don't have to explain how or why you created it. Particularly, you can't if it happened to you as a child. But you can say, I have no flipping idea of how or why I was a co-creator in this violation towards me. I know I had something integral to do with that. Now, without any further explanation, and this does not exonerate the abuser. This does not mean don't take them to court and sue their pants off. This does not mean that they were justified. No way, man. But it does cease you from giving away your power to willy-nilly forces, to people with evil intent. That can't happen. This course, Life on Earth, is about you blasting forward and living an awesome life. And this is how anybody can do it. And by the way, you could go in a lifetime just intuitively from being, let's just go to an extreme, a baby soul with an infant ability to emotionally ascertain where you are. And in that same lifetime, get to the qualities, values, and virtues of an old soul. Because unlike linear time that measures the progress of our physical bodies, where these metaphors are coming from, baby, youth, mature, old, we don't have to wait for material time. You can start taking a time out, some breathing exercises, anger management. Boom, you've just thrown yourself into the mature soul category. You do it with consistency, it becomes a habit, it becomes effortless. With understanding, the rock of truth that the first few chapters of this book are built upon, you will always be able to return to that for solace, for comfort, for inspiration, for courage, to set your life on fire. These are the virtues of going through the so-called lessons of life in the jungle, or lifetimes in the jungles of time and space. You can blast through them. It takes very little to learn patience, not fun, but to learn patience, anger management, realizing that there's good intent in everybody somewhere deep down, that it's all for the adventure of it, that we're here because of happiness. These can be your virtues and values going forward, and there's much more said about these. But what I wanted to steer this towards, now that you, and probably already were, well versed in the evolution of consciousness, wouldn't it make sense that just as an individual goes through this, a tribe goes through this, a population goes through this, a university campus goes through this, a city, a state, a prefecture, a province, a country. Yes, it's true. Different countries, like different cities, like different universities, will have a different collective, let me call it weighted average, for lack of a better word, soul age. And you can see it, for example, in Switzerland or in many European countries, Canada, Australia, some of my favorites, where there's like a thoughtfulness to the people that is not inclusive of every single soul there. Because in any different country, there can be baby souls and old souls. But the weighted average of the collective in these countries I just named, a little bit more, usually not always, and the country will change and sometimes regress based on the new souls that are being born. They may be younger than the old souls that they inherited the country from. So these countries I just named, they have kind of a serenity about them, a neutrality about them. And we can debate neutrality another masterclass, okay? Like maybe Switzerland should not have been so neutral during World War II. Kind of think so. But at the same time, this is the hallmark of an old soul. And there are young soul nations. I happen to believe the United States is a young soul nation. Young is not worse than old. Young means that like somebody an adult in their 20s. You know, are they better than somebody that's in their 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s? They're not better. They're at a different stage. So young souls, 20-year-olds, 20-somethings, 30-somethings, they want to go change the world and build buildings and shape civilizations. They're the doers. They're the beers. They're the havers, particularly in a material sense. Young souls rock. United States is a young soul. But young souls tend to get a little wobbly, and they're not really certain, maybe rush to war or police the world or some of the things that a 20-year-old is more likely to get into a fist fight than a 70-year-old, because a 70-year-old, not just physically speaking, but is wiser. It's like, this is not going to get us anywhere, and it's not going to help us. Let's sit down and talk about this, hopefully. So just as these collective soul ages emerge, so does a planetary soul age. And to cut to the chase, planet Earth, in my view, is young soul approaching maturity. 21-year-old, 22-year-old, where we are all raw, the global collective weighted average soul age. And this is a time in a human's life where there's fraught with tension and growing pains, and all of a sudden going from, hey, mom, dad, watch me, I'm so cool, to all of a sudden having to pick up after your mess. All of a sudden having to take responsibility. And you can resist not taking that responsibility for your life and your happiness, but it's not going to work because the march of progress is unfailing and unceasing. And so on Earth right now, we've got like, hey, man, I like the way it used to be. Let's make America great again. And I think there's a lot of good to Donald Trump, but I think that slogan, calling us back to a former time, ignores how great we are today. And I think it's a little bit reflective of a fear that's worldwide right now of, hey, I'm not sure I'm ready for gay marriage. I'm not sure I'm ready for all the other things that should have been civil rights long ago, but this is scaring the dickens out of people. And so they're pushing, they're resisting, but the current is unceasing. And when there's this inner welling of tension, all of a sudden you see flare-ups in people and in cultures and societies and ISIS kind of things emerging all over the world, not just ISIS, but extremism, even in the United States, is emerging all over because there's this tension, because we're moving to a place of maturity and a lot of people are resisting change. Well, we're going there anyway, so the greater the resistance, the more turmoil, to the degree that it will affect the weather and earthquakes and storms, because nary is there an accident on planet Earth. Never. Is there an accident when you dream at night? Is the Earth accidentally shaped? No, there was meaning to it. And yeah, afterwards on Earth, we can put facts to it and say plate tectonics, etc. But there's the facts, like the age of the planet and which plate is hitting which, they follow the conscious energy that's above. I know that sounds Looney Tunes, but probably not to people watching this. And so in your life, the message here is, by taking 100% responsibility for your happiness and all that's happened to you, you can blast forward with clarity and strength. And I knew, and so let me tell you a couple points here. I know that I'm getting verbose again, but I don't want to imply that old souls have no challenges. No, this is one of my favorite quotes from the book. Challenges are not a sign of weakness, but of strength. Evidence that a slumbering giant is about to awaken. And this is the nature of a life into the jungles of time and space, where we are all blessed beyond belief with a divine sense of incompletion. Do you know what I'm talking about? I've referenced it in some of my other works. It is pivotal in my understanding of the nature of reality. I thought at one point, are we a sad lot, human beings? Are we not ever happy? Must we always want the next greatest, fastest, quickest, better cell phone, car, whatever? And then it dawned on me that we are all creatures of change. Yet this isn't a sign of shallowness. It is the mark of divinity in our soul. Because that sense of incompleteness that we have been endowed with will never go away, and that alone ensures we will forever be seeking and stretching and expanding to become more. And so, as I mentioned in my Dead People book, and there's a version of it in this, it's not like, I know life is beautiful and I know I rock, but my girlfriend's cheating on me and I have chicken pox and I'm about to file for bankruptcy. But life is awesome and I rock. No. Your life is awesome in large part because your girlfriend's cheating on you, you have chicken pox, and you're about to file for bankruptcy, because these reveal chinks in your armor that you didn't know you had, that now you can deal with and then be free. So challenges are a sign that a slumbering giant is about to awaken. We look at ourselves as like, oh, everybody else has got it figured out but me. You know, everybody else is doing this and they're doing that. And you see their new car, you see his new phone, you see their new house, their new third house, their new fourth house. Oh, what's wrong with me? It's like everything is right about you. All of us are at different points in this evolution of consciousness. And when we recognize that, we stop putting so much stress on ourselves. And just because somebody seems to be challengeless, I guarantee you, they have challenges that sear their soul right now. You know, as you get into truth like we're doing now, it's less and less of a painful experience. And when something unexpected shows up or a seeming setback, you roll with it with grace because you know you're being poised for something even better. So it's not like you're going to have to deal with good and bad, good and bad, good and bad your whole life. No. But the dichotomies are there. And knowing what we're learning in this masterclass, you will raise your orbit so that it's all good. And sometimes you stub your toe and you're like, oh, that's going to make me better. And you move forward and you get such momentum. There's this upward spiral that sweeps you off your feet. I've got to read to you a second favorite quote in this book. On page 23, if you have it, you don't have to go there right now. But in my questioning to my journal, I was like, you know, aren't we here? If it's not to be judged, aren't we supposed to be of service? And if not to be of service, you know, aren't we supposed to know love? And it's like happiness versus love. I'll read snippets of it. Love is not the answer. As many suspect, love is a given in your experience, like the air you breathe. You didn't choose to live in time and space for air, for example, any more than you chose it for love. There is only love is the greater message here. You can't deviate from love, just like you can't deviate from God. You can be blind to it. You can blind yourself to it, but it's still there full force. Time, space, and love are merely mediums that make your lives possible. This isn't saying love isn't vital, nor that it's not supremely necessary for your experience. Like air, it's both. Okay, there's so much more here, my favorite passage, but I will cut to the favorite quote, maybe the quote of the book. Your lives are not about love. They are about adventures into love. Adventures are variable, not love. You know, and later in the book, we'll talk about the matter of illusions, and we'll see how unimportant they are, and that it's the emotional journey, the drama, that really counts. Okay, so I've got some Q&A to go through here. Let me look at my notes. The last question in this chapter is like, okay, so problems are good, and we're young souls for the most part. You got any good news? And it's like, this is the good news, because you designed this and you chose this time to be alive because you knew in this realm, in spite of the darkness that often prevails through confusion, you, placed as you've placed yourself, are poised for greatness. You've already stumbled into, and most people haven't by this stage, stumbled into the truth of your divine spiritual being and the fact that your thoughts become things, and you're learning things like there is no purpose other than to be you, which will help you move towards happiness in your adventures where you are sliding on ice skates in a love-filled arena. All right, so I want to do some questions really quickly here. Let's see. And I'm going to be looking at the little manual. A couple of questions that were sent in, and then I'm going to do a couple of questions and answers that have been posted to this live dialogue. So post away. Okay, Mike, is the masterclass going to focus more on implementation or knowing about life on Earth? How to versus knowledge? Great question. I wanted to try to make that clear yesterday. I guess I didn't. The first part of the book is knowledge. The second part of the book, or 50% of the book, is all about getting it on. So right now we're talking about knowledge, so that you don't have question marks through which your power goes away. Another question. I'd like to hear you talk about simultaneous time and how that relates to reincarnation. All right, Priscilla, great question. I love talking about that, but it's a little bit out of the scope right now. Let me read another question. I've listened to your previous, this stuff, Priscilla, is so awesome, but don't let it detract. nor think that the answer to that question is vital for you to live a rocking life. Apart from, am I subject to karma from past lives? That's why we talked about reincarnation and had a better understanding of karma yesterday. We can go deeper, and we can go into simultaneosity, and we can go into parallel universes, and we can talk at length about aliens and animal consciousness, but all of that is irrelevant to you finding joy in this life right now, in almost every instance. That doesn't mean don't go there. Maybe my next book I'll go there. One more thought here. Carla, in trying to love all, including those who you know are hurting souls, how do you balance that with loving yourself? That seems right on point, Carla. Thank you so much. Loving people doesn't mean engaging them. It doesn't mean being nice to them. I mean, of course, if you're engaging them, be nice to them. But if this person that you love wants to slash your eyes out, then I would think twice about engaging them. And although I love them, if I had to engage them because they were in my family or I shared a cubicle at work with them, then I would measure my words very carefully and very lovingly. And I would only venture in an exchange where it could be win-win. And so you need not serve other people in that light. You serving yourself and your happiness, you will be a very bright light to those who are in your immediate circle, unhappy or happy. And that's how we can make the biggest impact in the world. Selfishly. We help others when we're being selfish. Not selfish at their expense, but divinely selfish, as I defined earlier. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. Now let me go to some live questions. Here we go. Give me that. Let me see. All right, Q&A, found you. According to what you're saying, narcissists are spiritually stupid. I like it. It serves them right. Maybe I shouldn't have used the stupid word. I just meant naive. That's the kind and friendly word. They are spiritually naive. Yes, thank you, Brigitte. Let me go to, I have difficulty seeing myself visualizing. Any tips? And how do I visualize someone I've never seen? Am I able to see people I know, though? Well, that goes to application that's coming up later on. But basically, let me give you a shortcut tip, John. The best visualizing you can do is to skip people, places, sounds, and just go to a 2 or 3 minute woohoo emotional happy dance. Just feel joy, hear congratulations. You're telling people, yeah, I just met so-and-so. Yeah, we're going to go on vacation. Yeah, we just bought a house together. Yeah, I just got a break at work. Yeah, I love what I do. Yeah, a high five, man, knuckle to knuckle, poo. And they're giving you warm hugs. You do that for 3 minutes every single day. Do a timer. And I'll talk about more of the application later on. That sends out gigantic emotionally charged energy that by law has to return into your life as people, places, circumstances, romance, and all that would make you authentically that happy. I'll talk more about visualization later. What if you robbed a bank, anonymous viewer asks, got caught, paid your debt to society, and are now out in the world? I think whether or not you robbed the bank and whether or not you got caught and whether or not you paid those kind of dues, you are a divine spiritual being, and you can look back at your history and say, look, through my confusion, I thought robbing the bank and terrifying people who still need therapy was a good way to keep my high or a good way to feed my children. Whatever it was not ideal. And whatever you did, it should not ideally have ever been done. And you can look back at that and see that. And you need not even ask for forgiveness from divine intelligence, though it may serve you mightily to go and make reparations to those people you terrified and explain to them where you were coming from and cry humbly at their feet. But irregardless, you are loved, you are adored, you are a spiritual being. And the idea that paying your penance according to our primitive, archaic penal system should even have to have been done for you to feel better is kind of a sad implication that we usually carry. In a moment, you can see the folly. In a moment, you can heal your ways. And that doesn't undo what you did to other people. Go make reparations. But you were still loved all the way, and you're loved right now. And in 2 seconds flat, you can get off that wheel of naivete and to a higher spiritual realm through enlightenment, which is why I'm spending 2 and maybe 3 and 4 chapters of the 9 in the theory, because you got to know the theory, you got to have the knowledge of the simple, benign absolutes. They're so few and far between. Get them, know them, nail them down, and then when we get to application, you can go forward without self-doubt, without uncertainties. Yeah, but what if I was a pirate in the last life? Yeah, but what if I hadn't paid my dues in this life? Maybe I should be arrested. Should I go to the police department first? Okay, thank you for that awesome question. Okay, would it be spiritually smart or stupid to let an abuser know how he has affected others? You know, life is art, and there's no one answer to that excellent question, Brigitte. I don't know if you're the same Brigitte out of all these questions, but there you go. This is spontaneity. I think it should be driven more by your needs than the sense of somebody needs to tell that guy what a jerk he is or the harm he's caused, and I'm going to be the one to go do that. I'll put myself in harm's way. You know, it's your call, and I don't know what the answer is. It wouldn't ever be the same in any 2 situations because they're all different. But I would be driven by your need for release, for clarity, for expression, release of pent-up anger. Tell them anonymously, tell them over a cup of coffee, tell them with love. And if you're thinking of doing this on behalf of others they have violated, I would be more driven to console them and to help them have a better picture on the nature of reality, although the stuff I teach could be quite offensive. Truth can be quite offensive to someone who lives safely under the blanket of it's everyone else's fault, it's all their fault. That's a lot of security. That's why there's resistance from 2012 to this very day, and it will continue because suddenly we have to be responsible for our happiness and unhappiness. Let's see here. A couple more questions. Pia, what has been your biggest or favorite insight, awareness, and surprise from the truths that you have received as a co-creator? Would you share one of them? You know, the biggest ones were as a teenager when I drew these conclusions and had no self-confidence. And when I found out through book after book in my early adult years that like, yeah, everyone's God. Yeah, everyone's doing their best. Yeah, time is an illusion. It's like, wow, man, that I could deduce that. I've always then learned from my early 20s to rely on myself and my own intuition and my own logic. You've got to use both. But of more recent years, Pia, the epiphanies that have rocked me the most, what I teach in Playing the Matrix, general end results. I already talked that to a degree yesterday, and that'll come up a little more in the course. Also, the divine sense of incompletion that I just talked about. I mean, that was a big one for me. I thought, aren't we a pathetic lot? All I want to do is change my life. Why can't I be happy? And the world wants us to do that, and we tend to think that, oh, you know, I'm never happy, am I? I must have this, you know, this insecurity about me, this vulnerability about me, this shyness about me, this non-worthiness about me. So I used to beat myself up thinking that I should just learn to settle for what I have. Don't ever settle for only what you have. That would tend to dampen the light of the divine within you, who came here to be you. You are its first choice to be alive at the time you were born, and that you still live and breathe. You are still its first choice because you see things no one else can ever see, and you feel things no one else can ever feel, and you dream things and can make those dreams come true in a way that no one else could ever do. You are God alive in time and space. Another question. How do you deal with the young souls you encounter? Oh, that's a trick. You know, with love, you know, I would like to say there's many I would like to throttle, but you know, you do not engage them in their terms or on their turf, nor have a political conversation with them. If they're not ready and remotely open, why would you do that to yourself? You need not proselytize, okay? You need not save the world. I'm only doing this because you guys signed up. And that's why I'm so immensely grateful. I'm not trying to force this down anyone's throat. People do wake up. And then if you are a messenger, you have something to share, do what I did and start sharing it. And you will be surprised. People will assemble because you've got stuff to share. But let them assemble. Don't go herd them, okay? So treat them with love and think not that you need to fix their warped mind. They want so much to be heard. And so do you want so much to be heard. Nobody wants to be coerced. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with them. And probably it's family members. So, it's not like you can avoid them too much, right? Okay, Patricia, can you talk about meditation and how that will apply with your philosophy? Okay, here's the only philosophy you need to know. Thoughts become things, period, full stop. Now, thoughts include words and thoughts includes action. Thoughts include nuances, like have general end results and don't be a micromanager. Hence, I have a large body of material to share it to people who want to know about being a deliberate creator. One of the things I would never say you have to do is become a meditator. No way. But yet, obviously, it has virtues, and it applies and perhaps resonates with some people more than other people. I only now realize in hindsight that not only do I channel every word I speak, as do you, but I really realize it. Do you really realize it? And I really realize I can summon and go deep within in silence, not in a meditative silence, but just sitting at my computer going, where's those words I need? And then I write something, and then I let it go, and I write something. That is the end result, and my writing is taking action. Bingo, thoughts become things. And so, through the calming of the mind or the insistence, great wonders can happen. But think not that you must take meditating lessons and find a cliff somewhere to totally rock your life. If it speaks to you, and it does speak to me, I'm coming around. I'm doing it with more than just a cigar. I'm carving out a few quiet moments every day to just to breathe and feel, wordlessly feel. I think that's going to pay big dividends. And if you're feeling that, go for it. But think not that I need to be a visualizer, a meditator, so that I can live deliberately. You need not. Let's see, a few more. Oh, one more, and then we're out of time. Ardoth, based on your awesome manual for life on Spaceship Earth, thank you for that description, I succeeded after many attempts to bridge the gap with love toward my landlady, and today I succeeded. Oh, it's not even a question. Well, I'm not sure which manual on life, an adventurer's guide perhaps. I'd like to think of them as all manuals on life for Spaceship Earth. That's cool. That would be a great title. So I'm glad it worked, and I'm glad your adventure has led you to happiness through the medium of love. And a little parting exercise I have for you guys. Speaking of the angst that young souls can bring upon others, including fellow young souls or baby souls. Oh, no, that's not the exercise. Here's the exercise. Okay, I'll give you two exercises because I hate to start one and not finish one. Okay, this is homework. Pen and paper or just memorize it. I want you to think of every young soul or bad person. They're not bad. Maybe they behave. Every person who's behaved badly in your life. And think of three of them. And then under each of their names, I want you to make a list of some examples of God within them. Good qualities, traits, innocence, naivety. And you'll see, you'll be surprised. Okay, that's your homework. So the exercise kind of stems from yesterday as well, when we were talking about purpose. And you can do this right now. Just answer this in your mind. What do you like most about life? I mean, go anywhere, go to sex if you want to go to sex. Go to what do you like most about life? Life in general, without you in it. So take out the sex right now. And do you like oceans? Do you like beaches? Do you like warm weather? Do you like snow? Do you marvel at the seasons, the blue skies, the symphonies of harmony and symbiotic relationships everywhere? Do you like nature? Do you like the magnificent cities that have been created through the brilliance of humanity? You probably like all of it, okay? So what is it you most like? Think about it. Okay, now your life. What do you most like about your life? Okay, you know, is it your long walks in the woods? Is it being in nature? Is it your creative mind? Is it storytelling? Is it journaling? Is it painting? Is it conducting? Is it your ability to calm other people down when they need it, to give comfort when they need it, to inspire them when they need it? You know, are you a people person, a people manager? Are you in human resources? Are you in sales? Do you like that opportunity to interact with the public on a very regular basis? Do you like numbers or do you like arts? Left brain, right brain? Think about that for a minute. And then I want you to answer one more question. Given that your life is still rocking right now, what would you really, as of yet, like to master that you haven't mastered? You know, is it peace of mind? Is it health? Is it having an awesome partner, or at least a partner that you can feel great joy and love with? Is it making a fortune financially, money? I mean, anything. Is it learning a language? What remains? I mean, this is the ultimate big picture philosophical bucket list. What would you like to nail before your time is done in this incarnation? Think about that. One or two things. Okay, you've just nailed why you're here, at least at this point in your life. This is why you chose the jungles of time and space. There's stuff you love about the jungles. There's stuff you love to do within the jungles. And there's stuff you'd still like to master. That's it. Those are your adventures. Seek them out selfishly, and you will be a bright light to all who love you. This has been fun. I really like it. Thanks for all the great comments. Please connect at the Life on Earth Facebook page. Send an email to tut.com and we'll tell you how to get there if you haven't figured it out already. It will be in your email tomorrow morning. It links you to the recording today. Every day you're going to get an email from us. Hope you don't think it's spam. You want it to be part of the masterclass. We're not selling a darn thing. We're just telling you, here's the link to the recording of the class. That's it. Lots of love from Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I am vacationing with wife and family. They are 10 miles away. I'm in a little office I've rented, but it's great to be here in this energy, on this planet, in this time, in space with you. Tally ho, and remember that your thoughts become things.